Tonight, breaking news, the massive prisoner swap freeing Americans held in Venezuela. The stunning news late today, 10 Americans and permanent U.S. residents coming home from Venezuela after a complex prisoner swap involving hundreds of Venezuelan migrants sent to a notorious prison in El Salvador. The deadly bomb squad accident in L.A. County, an explosion killing 3 sheriff's deputies. Sources say the deputies were handling explosives brought back from a seemingly routine call, the department's worst loss of life in 168 years. President Trump under pressure, calling for the release of grand jury testimony in the Epstein case, what the Justice Department has just done. The mid-air scare, a passenger reportedly trying to open an emergency exit and shoved a flight attendant who tried to stop him, the pilot making an emergency landing. And new video just in, a reported engine fire forcing a Delta flight to divert to Los Angeles. Severe storms sweeping from the Midwest to New York. More than 60 million Americans on alert for storms, flooding, and dangerous heat. The tropical rainstorm in the Gulf and the soaring temperatures ahead of an extremely hot week. The suspect in the brutal killing of a paddleboarder in Maine appearing in court. The 17-year-old charged with murder. Prosecutors asking he be tried as an adult. A shark bites a teen in Florida, what we know, and the stunning video showing a group of sharks preying on a school of fish just off a popular New York beach. CBS canceling The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, the network facing criticism, calling it a purely financial decision, ending the program after more than 3 decades on the air. The Coldplay concert and the viral kiss cam moment seen by tens of millions, we're now learning tonight. And remembering a legendary Oscar-winning lyricist. So many songs from television and film we can't forget.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. President Trump under pressure, calling for the release of grand jury testimony in the Epstein case. The Justice Department filing a motion to do that. And late today, the president suing the Wall Street Journal. Here's ABC's Mary Bruce.
Tonight, as President Trump tries to silence an uproar from some of his own supporters, the Justice Department now asking courts in New York and Florida to unseal grand jury records in the case of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Trump saying, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony, subject to court approval. But that could take weeks or even months and would not fulfill his team's promise to release the full FBI files on Epstein.
Here's the problem. The grand jury testimony is largely about Epstein and Maxwell, not about all the rich and powerful men who abused, assaulted, and abandoned young women. Those people are still being protected.
Today, I asked the president why he isn't doing more.
Mr. President, why haven't you ordered Pam Bondi to release the full files?
The president's announcement came just hours after the Wall Street Journal reported that in 2003, he allegedly sent Epstein a letter the paper described as, quote, bawdy for Epstein's 50th birthday. ABC News has not been able to confirm the existence of the letter, but in an interview with the Journal, Trump denies he wrote it. And tonight, he filed a $10 billion lawsuit against the paper and its conservative owner, Rupert Murdoch. The president once had a friendly relationship with Epstein, socializing in New York and Palm Beach. In 2002, he told New York Magazine, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life. When Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump said they'd had a falling out and hadn't spoken in 15 years. Some of Trump's top supporters, including his FBI director, Kash Patel, and Patel's number 2, Dan Bongino, have long promoted shadowy Epstein conspiracies.
I don't trust any story they tell me about Jeffrey Epstein. There is a reason this client list is hidden.
Earlier this year, Bondi said she had that list.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
But over the 4th of July weekend, the Justice Department and FBI said the list didn't exist and that they would not release any more information about Epstein, leaving some of the president's top supporters disillusioned.
Dan Bongino, who's always like shouting from the rooftops, we're going to get to the bottom of this and find out who these people are. Everyone's saying, no, Epstein killed himself. No, nothing to see here. And it's like, okay, well, that's why people are cynical.
And tonight, some of the president's top supporters are celebrating the president's decision to release this kind of testimony, though this is a lengthy process. These kinds of transcripts are usually highly protected, but some of the president's supporters say this is uniting the MAGA movement, though it remains to be seen just how much new information will ultimately be released. Whit.
Mary Bruce at the White House tonight. Thank you. 10 Americans and permanent U.S. residents seized and held by authorities in Venezuela are now coming home. The U.S. Embassy in Venezuela releasing this photo of the Americans. The United States had considered them to be wrongfully detained. The Americans also taking this selfie on the plane back home. In the exchange, El Salvador released more than 250 Venezuelans who had been deported in the Trump administration's crackdown. The U.S. had sent many of those Venezuelans to a notorious prison in El Salvador in that airlift back in March. ABC's Rachel Scott leads us off with late details just coming in.
Tonight, the White House announcing 10 Americans who were detained in Venezuela are on their way home after a large-scale prisoner swap. Their release comes in exchange for more than 250 Venezuelan migrants who were deported by the Trump administration as part of his immigration crackdown and sent to El Salvador's notorious mega prison. El Salvador's president tonight releasing this video of those prisoners boarding planes in handcuffs, saying we've handed over all Venezuelan nationals detained in our country. Among those released tonight, 37-year-old Lucas Hunter, who was detained on a surfing trip, his family pleading for his return.
Bring Lucas home safe.
Also free tonight, Jorge Vargas, a grandfather who was detained last September. His family says his health has been in decline. And U.S. Navy SEAL Wilbert Castaneda, arrested in his hotel room while visiting a friend. Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying, quote, every wrongfully detained American in Venezuela is now free and back in our homeland. Secretary Rubio thanking El Salvador's president for securing this agreement, calling it unacceptable that those Americans were detained, saying all of them are now on their way to freedom.
Rachel Scott, thank you. Now to the tragic accident that took the life of 3 sheriff's deputies in L.A. County, the explosion in the parking lot of an arson explosives detail facility. Sources say the deputies were handling explosives brought back from a seemingly routine call. Officers rushing to the scene, the FBI, LAPD, and ATF offering help. The Sheriff's Department mourning their worst loss of life in 168 years. ABC's Trevor Ault is on the scene.
Tonight, a horrific explosion at a law enforcement training center, killing 3 Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies.
This is, unfortunately, the largest loss of life for us as the LA County Sheriff's Department since 1857.
Witnesses reported hearing a massive boom just after 7:30 this morning at the arson explosives detail facility in East LA.
An explosion with 3 down. Fire is also notified.
You can see 2 covered bodies of those deputies on the ground next to a truck with open doors, a 3rd body covered by a blue tarp a few feet away. Sources tell ABC News preliminary information shows they were handling an explosive they'd recovered from a routine bomb squad call and believed it was safe to move when it exploded. The back window of that police SUV blown out. Investigators sealing off the scene for hours. All 3 deputies described as elite members of the arson explosive detail with decades of service.
They are fantastic experts, and unfortunately, I lost 3 of them today.
The sheriff visibly emotional as he addressed the media.
I have met with 2 of the 3 families thus far, and as you can imagine, those were extremely challenging conversations. So, anyways, ready for questions.
And late today, a somber procession for those 3 fallen deputies.
And when investigators are now trying to retrace the steps of these bomb squad members, trying to better understand the devices they picked up during that call on Thursday. They thought those devices were safe. They need to know how they exploded this morning.
Yeah, still a lot of questions in this case. Trevor, thank you. Next tonight, more than 60 million Americans on alert for flash flooding, dangerous heat, and severe storms sweeping from the Midwest to New York. In Indiana, this camper caught in the floodwaters washed away and slammed into a bridge. A tropical rainstorm in Louisiana and across the Gulf, up to 2 inches of rain in an hour. Lee Goldberg tracking it all in just a moment. But first, ABC's Alex Perez in New Orleans tonight.
Tonight, millions on high alert for flash floods once again as summer storms fire up. Overnight, southern Indiana hit hard. In New Pekin, Indiana, this camper slamming into that bridge, bobbing in the water before it's crumpled like a soda can, sucked under the bridge by the fast-moving water.
Oh, God, there it goes.
Thankfully, no one was inside. From Texas,
oh my God,
and New Mexico to New York City. The month of July has been marked by epic floods, and so far this year, the National Weather Service has issued more than 3,000 flood alerts. Along the Gulf Coast, tropical rainstorms flooding roads in New Iberia, Louisiana.
And a flood watch remains in effect for southern Louisiana and Mississippi through tomorrow as this Gulf-fueled system moves in. Up to 2 inches of rain an hour possible in some areas.
Alex Perez, thanks. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from our New York station WABC. And Lee, the risk of dangerous flooding continues tonight.
And through the weekend, Whit, for many. Now, that flood watch will continue for parts of Louisiana and Mississippi for rounds of rain. That area of the country can take it 2 to 4 inches of rain. There will be some localized problems, but the more serious threat is to the north, especially over Virginia. In fact, we have ongoing flooding near the Richmond area right now. Rainfall rates up to about 1 inch in 30 minutes, and that could be severe during the overnight. In fact, the elevated flood risk goes from Kentucky all the way to the Outer Banks. Now, tomorrow, we're going to cover a complex of heavy damaging thunderstorms that will start near Des Moines in the morning, go to Chicago, Indianapolis, Detroit, even to Cleveland in the afternoon hours. We could see damaging winds and flash flooding, even a brief tornado from this. This is all being driven by the extreme heat from the middle of the country into the southeast. Heat alerts for 40 million Americans. It's only comfortable in the northeast, at least for now. Whit?
All right, well, brace for that. Lee Goldberg, as always. Thank you. Turning now to the mid-air scare and the emergency landing because of a passenger. The pilot telling air traffic control the man tried to open an emergency exit and was fighting with a flight attendant. And late today, a reported engine fire in a Delta flight diverted to Los Angeles. Here's ABC's Marcus Moore.
Tonight, this passenger on board a SkyWest flight is facing federal charges after allegedly trying to open the exit door mid-flight and shoving a flight attendant, forcing the plane to make an emergency landing. The passenger jet traveling from Omaha, Nebraska to Detroit Thursday with 71 passengers and crew on board. Listen as the pilot alerts air traffic control to a disturbance in the cabin with one of the passengers.
In a fight with our flight attendant right now, trying to open the emergency exit.
About half an hour later, the plane diverting to an airport in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Video showing officers escorting that passenger, identified as 23-year-old Mario Nickprella, off the aircraft. The FAA says there have been 871 reports of unruly passengers so far this year. And tonight, the FAA says they're also investigating a new incident. This video showing a reported engine fire that forced a Delta plane headed to Atlanta to divert back to LAX right after takeoff. The FAA saying the plane landed safely and taxied back to the gate without incident. With the passenger on that SkyWest flight remains in jail tonight, SkyWest says it has zero tolerance for unruly behavior and that the flight continued on to its destination with no other issues. Whit?
All right, Marcus Moore, thank you. Now to the suspect in the brutal killing of a paddleboarder in Maine. Appearing in court, the 17-year-old charged with murder, and now prosecutors are asking he be tried as an adult. Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, the 17-year-old arrested in the death of paddleboarder Sunshine Stewart has been charged with murder. Court records identify the teen as Devin Young from Frankfort, Maine, and prosecutors say he acted with depraved indifference to Stewart's life when he allegedly strangled and bludgeoned her to death. Stewart's body was found on this woodsy island earlier this month. ABC News was granted access to the idyllic private pond where she had gone out paddleboarding alone. This is the spot where Sunshine Stewart left on her paddleboard. She put the board in the water, went for a quick swim, came up on that ladder, got on the board, and paddled out to 100-acre island. Around the back side of that island is where her body was found. Sources told ABC News the teen had been summering with his family at the same campground as the 48-year-old.
As relieved as I am that we have some answers, it still just brings up just as many questions. It makes no sense.
Today, Young appeared remotely in front of a judge and denied the allegations. The judge ordered he be kept at a juvenile detention center in Portland until his next court date in August. This is Crawford Pond. It is simply magnificent, a real summer haven, and people here are just baffled. Not only the alleged killer was so young, but also living among them.
Aaron Katursky, our thanks to you tonight. When we come back, the TSA opens new lanes to speed up airport security. We'll tell you who gets to use them. The teen surfer bitten by a shark off the East Coast today. And the incredible video coming in, the shark feeding frenzy near a popular New York beach. Plus the kiss cam moment causing a firestorm on social media. The new developments tonight. Next tonight, a teenager bitten by a shark while surfing in Florida. Officials say the 18-year-old was in the water near New Smyrna Beach this afternoon when a shark bit his foot. He's being treated for his injuries. And further up the East Coast, stunning new video. Take a look at this as sharks go on a feeding frenzy. Drone video shows an aerial view of bunker fish near New York's Fire Island. Sharks can be seen feasting on this buffet of thousands of tiny fish. The drone operator says a shark swam near 2 snorkelers, but they did not seem to notice. Well, new lanes easing up air travel for service members and families. Travelers will notice the honor lane and families on the fly lines at more TSA checkpoints. Uniformed members of the military can access honor lanes to move through security quicker. And the Families on the Fly program is rolling out dedicated lanes in areas where families often travel with children. When we come back, a movie prop whips up a big sale on the auction block. Details on the price tag and the royal connection. To the index now, and the end of an era for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. CBS is canceling the franchise in May of 2026. Despite some public criticism, the network's president says this is purely a financial decision and is not related to the show's performance, content, or other matters at CBS's parent company, Paramount. The Late Show began in 1993 with host David Letterman. A kiss cam sets off a firestorm on social media. The camera zoomed in on this couple embracing during a Coldplay concert in Boston. The two quickly ducked away from the camera. Coldplay frontman Chris Martin reacted, saying they're either having an affair or just very shy. The CEO of tech company Astronomer is reportedly the man in the video. Astronomer says it has launched an investigation. An iconic movie prop snaps up a fortune at auction. Harrison Ford famously cracked this whip in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. The winning bid, a staggering $525,000. The prop is not only a piece of film history. Ford gave the whip to then Prince Charles back in 1989, who gifted it to the late Princess Diana. Still ahead here, he crafted the songs that brought movies and TV shows to life. Tonight, we're remembering a legendary Hollywood lyricist. Finally tonight, remembering Alan Bergman, the lyrical mastermind who gave life to the silver screen. Alan Bergman was an award-winning lyricist behind timeless hits of the 70s and 80s. Writing multiple TV and film theme songs, including for the sitcoms Maude and Good Times. And from the 1982 film Tootsie, the song It Might Be You. Bergman known not only for his talent, but also for his enduring partnership with his songwriting wife, Marilyn, who died in 2022 at 93. The couple writing hundreds of songs together, winning 4 Emmys, 2 Grammys, and 3 Oscars over their career. Among their most famous lyrical works, You Don't Bring Me Flowers, written with Neil Diamond, later becoming a classic Barbra Streisand-Neil Diamond duet, performed at the Grammys in 1980.
You don't bring me flowers.
And arguably their biggest success, The Way We Were, recorded by Streisand for the 1973 film of the same name. Streisand performing at the Oscars in 2013. In the wake of Marilyn's death, Streisand writing, Marilyn and Alan Bergman were like family. Their songs are timeless, and so is our love. Alan crediting his professional relationship with his wife for repairing any rare friction in their romantic relationship.
But if there is, most of the time it gets worked out in the work. It's very interesting.
Alan died late Thursday at his home in Los Angeles after suffering from respiratory issues, according to a family spokesperson, but continued to write songs till the very end. Alan Bergman was 99. And late today, Barbra Streisand posting an emotional tribute, calling Bergman a father figure and revealing the last time they spoke, he was working on a new song. Thanks for watching tonight. Have a great night.
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the third year in a row.